Howdy guys, and welcome to She'll Be Right Garage. You may recall in the last couple of videos on the 35 Dodge Transporter that we've got ourselves a bit of a side piece that we're working on. It's also a reason why we're having a few delays with the Landau build. It's a 5.4 litre V8 Ford Fairmont Ghia. It's a BA 2001 model. Let's come and check out what this is and why we're doing it. And here's a closer look at the old girl. Got a little bit of damage. Front end there and the bumper bar, so they're going to have to be taken off and repaired or replaced. You can see the crease of that bonnet edge is pretty bad, so I think we'll change that one out full stop. Got a nice complete V8 motor here, 5.4 litre. It's what's called a BA V8. It's just the twin cam rather than the quad cam. You can see that it's actually built in 02, so it's a 20-year-old vehicle in actual fact. Overall the car's pretty straight, definitely got a lot of paint fade. Not sure if we're going to have to repaint the roof yet or not. We're going to have to give that a good polish and see how it comes up. But overall it's not too bad. Unfortunately the rear end has also had a little bit of a knock as well, and a lot of paint peel. The boot lid is also well shagged. If you have a look here, it's got a dent and some heavy rust. And here's a closer look at that rust. And as a result, we've got ourselves a replacement panel already in the same colour. Happy days. Inside all the boot well areas is pretty solid, so no dramas there. Just filthy, needs a good detail. Does come with LPG. I'm not a massive fan of it. The tank's out of date, so I'm not sure if I'm going to ditch it yet or renew it. And we've got some horrible clear coat peel on the left hand rear quarter as well. And the tinted windows are looking pretty tired too. Got ourselves a nice set of original wheels. We're probably not going to keep them, but they're nice to have as a spare. And as we move on to the interior, grey leather trim, in pretty good condition overall. Driver's seat's got a little bit of wear and tear, but not too bad. Back seat's immaculate. Headliner is sagging, as is usual for these. And unfortunately the sunglass holder is also shagged. As you can see, it's just falling apart. Common problem with these. And the shifter surround is looking pretty ugly too. Also got ourselves a snap bonnet cable. We'll have to sort that out and replace the covers for the fuse panel. But what I really like is the low mileage at 229,000, which is pretty low for a 20-year-old vehicle. So the car has all the usual Fairmont gear features, like the 6-stack CD player and dual zone climate control, airbag, all the rest of it. It's a pretty tidy cabin. But of course, one of my most favourite things about this car is this. That's that sweet V8 noise. And so you may be wondering why we're fixing this car and what's so unique or special about it. So let's have a bit of a breakdown of the old car report from Ford and check out what the specs are. So as we have a look in front of us, it shows that there were 6,548 Fairmont gears ever built. Out of those gears, 1,115 came with a V8 motor, all of which also came with the same automatic transmission. We can then further break it down that 205 of those vehicles came in Blue Pearl, and out of those 205, 40 of them came with S3 leather stone trim. Now, it does show that the vehicle with options is as low as 13, But look, that can just literally come down to some basic stuff such as the type of tyres that it's wearing. So realistically speaking, we've got a car that's probably 1 of 40. So considering that it's something as modern as the early 2000s, it's actually a pretty low build number, all things considered. So to me, that makes it a car that's very much worthy of some respect and some sort of value. As I mentioned previously, this is going to be a temporary tow vehicle for the XA Ute. It is starting to look pretty tired, and I think this is going to be able to pull the rally car along nicely until the Ute's repaired and the 35 Dodge Transporter is all sorted. And so on that note, why don't we get started with this little build, shall we? Righto, so I think the first thing we're going to do, we know we've got a scrap boot lid and a scrap bonnet, so we'll get these off the car. We've stripped out all the wiring for the spoiler and for the boot latch and all the rest of it and pulled it out through here, so off we go. The spoiler bolts unfortunately have rusted on, so we're going to cut that off once we've got the boot lid off and we've got the sparks away from the rear windscreen. And before we cut it off, you can see just how rusty these nuts are around the spoiler, and a poor spoiler seal is probably the reason why we've got all this rust all across this boot lid. So I'll cut that off on the side of the nut, so hopefully we can retain the thread on the spoiler and we'll source some new nuts later. There we go. You can see how these rubber seals have completely shrunk, and that's exactly, and look at that, it's breaking, it's brittle. That's why we've got some leaks in that boot, and that's why we have our rust. So because our replacement boot is off the Falcon, we don't have these holes like the Ghia, so we just cut this whole panel out, so we've got some holes to use as our template, so we can re-drill it in the Falcon boot lid. So we've now gone and purchased ourselves an aftermarket bonnet with a hump, and we've hit our first snag already. If you're looking closely where we're meant to mount this bonnet, there is no thread inside there whatsoever, and we are going to have to cut our own. So as you can imagine, this is pretty bloody frustrating, and it's extremely fortunate that I have the right gear to do it. Anyone else that's dealing with it would be on struggle street. Much better. And as we have a look at our alignment, the driver's side is pretty good. Unfortunately, due to the previous accident, the passenger side is looking pretty rubbish. Our left-hand fender gap is not the best, and up front at the bumper you can see the bumper's pushed back a bit as well. So we're going to need to look at taking this grille and bumper off and seeing if we can straighten up this radiator support so we can get this body line spot on. Whilst it may be hard to see, guys, at this point right here we have a very minor crease, and that's our point where it's shifted back a little bit and it's pushed that fender out. So we're going to have to pull the top of this radiator support out, and then we should have a neat fitting bumper once again. And so even though it was a pretty dodgy looking style of repair, we've now adjusted the bonnet and the hinges. We've loosely put that front bumper bar on, and if we have a look there, we're looking nice and even on both sides now. We've got a pretty decent fit on this headlight now, as well as a fairly decent gap along this side, which is not too bad considering that this is an aftermarket made in Taiwan bonnet. Happy bloody days. So now that we've identified all the other panels that we need to paint, the only thing in question remaining is this roof. So let's give it a wipe down. We'll do a little patch with some polish and see if it comes up. I'm happy to say after just that light polish there, the roof is starting to come up a treat. Just a little bit more and she'll be mint. You beauty. So to round up this video, we need to get our used items that we're retaining under some primer. We've stripped apart the plastics of this bumper bar, so we're going to go and get it under the gurney now and then see exactly how much damage we've got. Now that we've got ourselves some clean bumpers, you can see a crack here that needs to be plastic welded on the rear, and as we move to the front we've got another crack here that needs to be plastic welded, and one here at the mounting face. And for the job of plastic welding, I like to use the trusty old soldering iron. So when I do this, I like to actually penetrate quite deep into the crack, so pretty much all the way through, before refilling it again with the molten plastic. This way I can be fairly confident that the crack won't reappear. So our next step is to address the warpage on this plastic here caused by a previous accident. Whilst the majority sits behind the license plate, we've still got some warpage over here, and we're going to use a heat gun to soften it whilst pressing it out from behind. Now whilst we've got the bulk of it out, there's still a little bit here that needs to be shrunk, so we're going to heat this general area and sandwich it between two solid metal objects. And now after letting that cool between the two pieces, we just need to heat this area one more time to give it its curvature. And we'll use a curved dolly for that. And now after reshaping that bumper bar, it's close enough that a light skim of filler and a bit of high fill will take care of the rest of it. And so guys, what I just want to explain before I put any products on, such as body fill or a high fill, when I'm dealing with plastic bumper bars, I like to scratch everything up. That way I'm scratching up the paint and the plastic surface, whichever one is exposed. And then I like to double it down with some plastic primer just to ensure that we get plenty of bite. So we've just given the left-hand rear quarter a quick scotch up, and now we'll put some plastic primer back on these bumpers again and follow the whole lot up with some high fill. That there will do it all, you beauty. Righto guys, we're going to have to wrap this episode up. We've got a bit of progress happening on the gear now. We've already started to get some of our repair panels under some primer. Now this was the first coat of primer for these plastic bumpers. We've got the lower sections of plastic bumpers that we need to take care of as well. They're going to get 2 or 3 coats of primer. I'll explain why in the next episode, and I'll show you the reasons for that. We're going to keep on going with the rest of the priming work with these panels. We're going to start painting the bonnet next week. We'll look at getting some of these mechanicals done and probably look at getting some of this interior back together. So we're well and truly on our way. I'd say a couple more episodes and we'll be good for Rego. So make sure you join us for that, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers guys. All I can hear from you is a whole lot of sooking, mate.
All I can hear from me is I'll just drop it in the fucking rear windscreen, shall I?
Oh, where did that go? Oh no. Gonna cut this whole section out so we can use our holes to re-drill as a template. You fucking prick. And after letting that cool between... Fuck yeah, will you fucking start right? Of any body filler or... Are you fucking serious? Will you shut up? Fuck me. I reckon I'm bad with the fucking noise. Jesus Christ, kid. Wow. Wow, cunt.